Hi, my name is Zachary Russell, and I have been attending Odessa Christian Faith Center for 34 years. Today I'll be speaking about how to be generous. For me, being generous is a decision. At OCFC, we are taught we are blessed to be a blessing, and you just have to decide that you're going to be a blessing. We're also taught that people give for one of three reasons: because they feel compelled to, because they have to, or if they don't, something bad is going to happen to them, or as they're led by the Spirit, or as they have purpose in their heart. To me, that applies to being generous also. Some people just give because they think they have to different charities, but the better way is to, as you're led by the Spirit or as you purpose in your heart. An example of me being led by the Spirit to give to a certain area is at Thanksgiving time this year. Pastor Paulette was talking about blessing baskets, and she said that the church was donating all the turkeys, and the life groups were donating all the sides, but they needed people to donate sweet potatoes and cranberries also. But all I heard was that the church was going to be spending thousands of dollars on turkeys, so I donated some money for turkeys. And an area in which I have purpose in my heart to be generous is every Sunday I donate to a certain ministry above my tithe and offering, and I always give above my normal tithe on what I would like to make instead of what I do make. Some people think they can't be generous because they don't have enough money to pay their bills, or they barely have enough money to pay their bills, so they don't have any money to donate. But money is not the only thing you can be generous with. You can be generous with your time and your talents. Here at OCFC and at churches everywhere, we have many ministries you can volunteer your time and talents in, and there are charities everywhere that you can donate your time and talents to. Growing up, I had a great example of how to be generous in my parents. My parents are very generous people. My dad was always generous through his business and personally. One thing they did when I was a kid to teach us to be generous was they sat me and all my brothers and sisters down and asked us if we'd be willing, instead of getting presents for ourselves, if they used that money to buy presents for less fortunate kids through the church. And we said yes. And this worked out in the end very well for us, because not only did they really buy us presents, but they led people to believe they weren't buying us presents, so they bought us presents too. But they were always doing things when I was a kid to teach us to be generous, setting an example of how to be generous. And now I'm trying to set that example for my own children. My wife and I buy stuff for less fortunate kids at Christmas time, and we have our kids pick out the stuff that they would get if that was them, to teach them to be generous and get things for less fortunate people. There are many rewards to being generous, and monetary rewards or monetary blessings are the least great of all those rewards. The feeling that you get on the inside when you see somebody smile because of what you've done for them, or to know that you've helped somebody or changed their life in a good way through your generosity, far outweighs any monetary reward you'll ever receive. If you didn't have a great example of how to be generous growing up, doesn't mean that you can't be that example for somebody else. And I would highly encourage you to be that example for somebody else.